Our scripture reading this morning is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21. And I read, "And when you turn to the right, or when you turn to the left, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" Thus ends the reading of the scripture. Now, before I start my sermon, I have a question for you. Do you know why Jesus is such a good driver? Anyone at home? Because everyone is always asking him to take the wheel. You're supposed to laugh. Now, I've committed a major faux pas. My teachers from seminary would be very upset. First thing they teach you, ministers never tell a joke from the platform. So my apologies, but it really does tie into my sermon. So, plus I had to get rid of it. Today, I'd like to talk about us taking the wheel and steering straight ahead with confident determination so that we can move forward in a clear direction whenever, wherever we might decide that we would like to go. I want to talk about us using our GPS, which we all know to be Global Positioning System, to instead be our God positioning system. Let us depend on this, the God within, to help both determine and reach our chosen destination. A few weeks ago, Reverend Scott talked about in his sermon about the desire to reinvent ourselves at AMC. He's offered to lead us in discussions about AMC's future, where we can sit and talk informally here in the chapel and via Zoom for those that would like to participate that way. But just to spend a little time talking about what types of changes we'd like to see in our future. And the first meeting is going to be held right after your service on Sunday, October the 16th. Good. We'll talk about what changes we might like to see. Change. This word alone can sometimes strike fear in our hearts, can it not? Changes, especially major life shifts, can often be tough, difficult, scary. But change isn't necessarily good or bad, even though it often feels that way. It's just different. People come and go. What worked well at one time simply works different now. Not better or worse, just different. In fact, one of the only constants in our lives is change. Everything changes now and then. Every individual, every business, every institution, even every church organization changes. Change is actually important. In fact, it's necessary for our future growth and development. Some changes appear very positive. We may receive a promotion at work, start a new career path, have a child, undertake a big move to a new city. Our business might win a great contract. Our church may receive a large donation. These positive changes are wonderful and can ultimately lead to new exciting outcomes and blessings in our lives. It's all good, right? But then there are changes that we don't always view as positive, such as the worst situations we may ever face in our lives: illness, divorce, the loss of a loved one. But in time, we come to realize that even these changes can add to the richness of our human experience and cause us to realize the depths of our inner strength. Seeing the silver lining in these types of changes is hard, if not impossible, when times are tough. We've all had painful moments when we weren't sure how we were going to cope, or even if we could cope at all. There are always bumps in the road, but we move forward. We chart new direction. We take a new path, or as the GPS system in my car always says when I make a turn, recalculating. We recalculate, we reinvent our lives, and it all works out in the end. No matter how big or small the changes might be, time moves forward and we must move forward with it. The last few years have been interesting. Pandemic has caused us to look at our life situations differently. Whether it's working from home now remotely rather than going into the office, having children attend school from home, or maybe even being homeschooled by a parent, logging into Zoom to attend church services instead of driving to the chapel on Sunday mornings, or even ordering groceries online and having them delivered to your house with the service actually coming in and stocking your refrigerator for you. I haven't done that yet, but a lot of people do and love it. Again, I'm not suggesting that these changes are good or bad, they're just different. To many of us, the last few years have felt somewhat stagnant, stalled, or just plain boring because we haven't been going out. We haven't been traveling. We haven't been doing things like we did before COVID. But in a way, I actually think that we are all more connected now than ever before to each other, to Mother Earth, and to Spirit. It's given us time to slow down and take stock of what's important. We've spent more quiet time at home, more quality time with family. And on a deeper level, we've come to understand that there's much more to life than daily schedules and appointments. When you add to that the recent world events and tragedies that have been going on, I think you can agree that these factors have forced us to take a closer look at our lives. As a result, some of us have contemplated career changes, residential changes, or have decided to take more time to pursue our personal creative interest. These are all positive things. I think that now it's a good time for us to think about what we really want to do in life, where we want to go, and how we're going to get there. It's a good time to use our internal God positioning system to tap into the divine presence that exists in each and every one of us. Let's try opening the door of our consciousness and permit this creative power to flow through our lives. Let's start out on the path of greater awareness by first determining and then acknowledging what is not quite working the way that we would like it to. And then we can proceed to the next step of trying something different. I recently received an interesting fortune inside of a fortune cookie from a local Chinese restaurant. Don't you all love to read those? It said, first ask yourself what you want, then take action and do what you have to do. Now, that was a little thought-provoking, I thought, not your normal fortune. So let's give it some thought. What is it about your life that you want to have stay the same? And what is it that you would like to do differently? What is it about AMC that you would like to have stay the same? And what is it that you would like to see done differently? It's a good time now for us to explore. Just as you may not have all the answers you are seeking, we ministers and church administrators don't have all the answers either. We'd like to have your feedback. We'd like to know your thoughts, your opinions, your suggestions. Where would you like to see AMC 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now? Let's think about how we can reinvent our beloved chapel so that it will continue to grow and prosper for years to come. But first, let me just say this. We're not raising any alarms here. AMC is doing just fine financially and otherwise. There is no cause for concern. We just like to make sure that we're positioning the chapel for future growth so that generations to come will be able to attend and enjoy this special place that we've all grown to love and care so much about. Isn't that your intent, Reverend Scott? It's time to embark on a new frontier, both individually and globally. It's time for us to take the wheel and steer forward to our chosen destination. But as we do this, please let's not lose sight of what we might experience along the way. Remember, it's not just the destination that's important, it's the journey that we take while we're getting there. See the beauty that surrounds you. Take note of the harmony that exists. Realize your profound connection to all that is sacred and holy. Surrender any doubts or worries you may have and choose to follow your spirit-led path. Ask for guidance, ask for directions. Tap into your internal GPS and recognize the universal divine presence that lives within. Let's be the good driver that Jesus is. Let's take the wheel, and may it be so.